It is here! The time has finally come for Nintendo to unveil their next generation of play. What lies beyond the Nintendo Switch, PS4 Pro performance, mouse mode integration, a new Mario Kart, and much, much more. So today, join me in predicting just that much more. Everything from the direct structure to third-party announcements and possible Nintendo first-party releases. Everything that Nintendo can announce April 2nd. The dawn of a new age is upon us. Get ready to witness the beginnings of Nintendo Switch 2! Here's hoping they don't mess it up this time. They got it in the bag, it's already in there, they put it there years ago. All they have to do is not take it out and burn it. Easy enough, right? So let's begin. Starting with the Direct's overall structure, how I believe they're going to set this up. You see, Nintendo typically starts their presentations in two ways. With a Nintendo Direct banner animation that leads into a presenter, typically Yoshiaki Koizumi, who welcomes us in and proceeds to announce the first game of the day. Or they skip the presenter, start with a game trailer, and then take us to Koizumi to further explain what we just saw. Neither of this will happen on April 2nd, because this Direct, it's not going to be just another simple run-of-the-mill Nintendo presentation. It will be longer, grander, unveiling not only software features but the hardware itself and all of its UI elements and brand new features. No, they couldn't start that way. We must look at the equivalent presentation from the Switch era to understand what we're working with here. I'm talking about the January 2017 Nintendo Spotlight event, a live event held to showcase the original Nintendo Switch. Now that's a big deal event. Starts with a countdown and hypes you up with music, so this new Direct will look nothing like this either. I'm just playing with you. And it won't for one reason. This was a live event with real people sitting there and real people presenting here, and I don't think we're getting that this time. What convinces me of that is Nintendo's branding of this event as not a spotlight or presentation, but a Direct. Now it will be a larger Direct and its presentation structure will be much more similar to this 2017 Spotlight presentation, but not in visuals, not in the way that it will be live or an in-person event, but in how Nintendo will choose to approach their announcements of every new feature. Expect to see Nintendo leading with the console itself, much like how they did here in 2017. This is no PS5 Pro presentation situation where we get the price at the very end as a little jump scare. No, they're ripping that band-aid off early, along with any doubts we could have had on the console's release date, looks, features, and maybe even UI if we're lucky. In the case of UI, I don't expect a full deep dive on every aspect of the console's interface. Don't go in there waiting for Nintendo to show off the eShop so you can finally rest easy knowing AI slop has been finally put to rest. I believe those worries will only cease once we get our hands on the console after launch, or maybe with a further smaller showcase video uploaded to their YouTube channel in the weeks following the Direct. As far as release date and price go, I see no reason to swim against the currents on this one. It will probably be $399, most definitely not cheaper than that, and maybe $449. The release date, however, is a bit more nuanced. I believe we'll be getting the Switch 2 in June, specifically June 12th or June 19th. However, there is still space for speculation, and one of my favorite wild theories running around at the moment is that the Switch 2's release date is in fact May 22nd. Why do people think that? It would make sense to get a head start on the summer season, and the date has two 2s in it. Yeah. Literally, it's just that. Not as unlikely as you may think though. Nintendo loves doing subliminal messaging like this, and silly marketing is right up their alley. May 22nd is also a plausible release date. Anything after the second week of June, though, I would be very surprised. Especially considering the lack of Nintendo titles released this year so far and the drought of Nintendo news, extending that wait until July or September does not sound sustainable to me. Remember, this is the Nintendo Direct Nintendo Switch 2, so don't expect to see any new game announcements in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the Direct, until Nintendo's done with the hardware. But after that, get ready, because we're about to be positively drowned in software announcements. Starting with Mario Kart. No, I'm kidding. Because ever since the Wii, we've had one omnipresent feature of these release presentations, a style of game that always seems to receive emphasis around a new console's release. I'm talking about that pack-in energy game. I say pack-in energy because what once was included in the box is now most likely to come with its own $60 price tag attached to it. But I'm talking about that game that's only there to showcase the new console's power and its unique features. We had Wii Sports on the Wii, Nintendo Land on Wii U, and 1-2 Switch on the original Switch. So for the Switch 2, I predict something kinda wacky. possibly featuring the mouse mode, but most definitely focusing on the console's messaging. Wii Sports, everyone in the family can play. Nintendo Land, the gamepad functionality and asynchronous gameplay. 1-2 Switch, the Joy-Con's full array of sensors and the console's portability. So whatever the messaging behind the Switch 2 ends up being, that's what this game will be themed around. If they focus on the raw hardware improvements, which I find extremely unlikely by the way, we might get a tech demo closer to something like Astro's Playroom on the PS5. If the mouse mode is the differentiator, we might get a game focused on showing off the potential of controlling with not only one mouse but possibly two. A minigame collection of brand new ideas featuring the new console's sensors. Another hypothesis is that the messaging behind the Switch 2 ends up having nothing to do with the hardware itself. After all, this is a sequel console. It may be harder to differentiate it from the original in that way. So instead, they could focus on how you will be playing Switch 2. My guess, a social platform approach. Hear me out. Nintendo's always been about getting people together to play some fun video games, and they were ahead of the curve back in the Wii U with stuff like Miiverse. If that was released today, no one would bat an eye, and in fact, it might as well be a huge success in the modern day. With the original Switch, they fumbled that area so hard that you can't even message your friends in the console itself, so they might be looking to reverse that trend with Switch 2. Remember that NSO test they held last year for what appeared to be an MMO-styled experience? You can't get much more social than that. Maybe this back-in energy title is a multiplayer-focused title, but not only local multiplayer, this time focusing on bringing people together through the power of Nintendo Switch Online. And they even get to sell you a subscription, so I don't doubt they could be heading this way. After that, however, we enter the bulk of the presentation, where new IPs could be revealed, brand new entries in beloved franchises are on the table, third-party support could be through the roof. So get ready to analyze some possible new announcements. Starting with the heavy hitters from Nintendo themselves, we have a Mario Kart 9. Just getting that out of the way, it'll probably be near the end of the presentation and it will feature the full reveal of the 24-player feature. Brand new items and my money's on an expanded campaign mode, however that may look like. But yeah, this one's easy. Guaranteed we're getting more Mario Kart 9 stuff. No animal can cross me. Oh, is that a cat villager? Oh my god, it's been 5 years since New Horizons. Yes, we're all getting old. Ugh. It's about time for a new game. The Animal Crossing team inside of Nintendo also produces the Splatoon franchise, so in predicting Animal Crossing, we can more or less remove Splatoon as a possibility. And I do think that we are getting Animal Crossing, not Splatoon. For one, it's the second best-selling game on Switch. With Animal Crossing and Mario Kart under their belt, Nintendo doesn't need to announce anything else for the rest of the year. They've practically won. If the games are good, of course, assuming they're holding up to that Nintendo seal of quality. But we are not just getting those two. The last of the three major heavy hitters set for release in 2025 is the next 3D Mario game. This is a title that's practically guaranteed to happen. We're coming up on 8 years since Mario Odyssey, and Nintendo will not miss the opportunity to replicate 2017 with a Mario Kart and 3D Mario out in the same year. It just works way too well. Some people will say Mario Odyssey 2. Others shout from the rooftops, it's Galaxy 3! The reality is, it's a brand new thing. It's its own beast, and there's no predicting the Mario team's direction. They went from tropical islands to galaxies to cats to captures. The general theory is that the next Mario game will pick up where Bowser's Fury left off, offering a more wide open style of Mario game, expanding on Odyssey's kingdoms even further. I say that's very much plausible. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did exactly that. But you see, that is the problem. I wouldn't be surprised. And if there's one thing that Nintendo always strives to do, and the Mario team especially has always delivered, it is surprise and delight. So there is really no telling what the theming and gameplay will look like for the next Mario game. We might get the expected, but I have a feeling that we're in for a big surprise. Those are the three games that will carry Nintendo's 2025, cornering important areas of the market for them. With Animal Crossing, they have the cozy game audience cornered, which is massive for Nintendo. With the next 3D Mario, they have the 3D Mario crowd, which hasn't had a game in 8 years and can't experience 3D platformers of this quality outside of a brand new Nintendo console. Mostly. And of course, they corner the audience of absolutely everyone else with Mario Kart, their release title and first major system seller. But the presentation does not end there. Before we move on to smaller Nintendo titles, we need to take a look at the possible third-party support. And I'm gonna say it right now, we're about to see unprecedented levels of support from third-party studios. Tech has slowed down. PS4 and Xbox One somehow remain pretty relevant to this day. Graphical fidelity is starting to plateau and the handheld market is bigger than it's ever been. On top of all that, we're going through a bit of a rough moment financially in the industry. So rest assured, companies are drooling at the possibility of releasing all of their titles on what could end up being a massive market in the Switch 2. I believe we're going to see Elden Ring as well as Elden Ring Night Reign announced for the platform. Nintendo has worked with FromSoft in the past. Dark Souls even has its own amiibo. And if we are to follow that May 22nd release date theory, that would mean that Night Reign could be released simultaneously on Switch 2, PC, and other consoles just a week after the console's launch, being the perfect game to show off how Nintendo is now up to date with the competition and able to get releases alongside their fellow console competitors. You knew it was coming, Baldur's Gate 3. A fantastic, huge, and successful RPG. Nintendo Switch is home to tons of RPG lovers. Mouse mode, need I say more. We'll be seeing Baldur's Gate 3 on Switch 2. I don't expect it as a launch title, maybe a vague late 2025 release date or even 2026. She monster on my hunter till I go wild. Yet another series loved by Nintendo fans. So much so that Capcom released a time-exclusive entry in the series on the original console. That game went on to sell over 8 million units on the platform, becoming the best-selling third-party title ever released on Switch. If that's not indication that Wilds is making its way to Switch 2, then I don't know what is. My only concern with Wilds is the game's notoriously bad optimization, struggling to run even on home consoles like the Series S, a platform which the Switch 2 could turn out to be comparable with. Now, I don't think that will stop Wilds from reaching the Switch 2, but it may be a suboptimal way to play, which is a scary prospect for future Switch 2 ports. This game, however, I do expect to see in the launch window, alongside Elden Ring. If not day one, then definitely in the weeks following the console's launch. Hollow Knight Silksong. Are we sure about this one? I know. Put on the clown makeup, cry yourself to sleep every night, life is nothing but misery and pain, and my soul is drenched in perpetual darkness, but please let this be the day for this whole world's sake. There are a couple reasons why it could be. Xbox has recently hinted yet again at Silksong's inclusion on Game Pass, being relatively soon. While they probably have no say over Team Cherry's actual release plans, it does feel like we're reaching a breaking point with this title, and there isn't much more they could possibly do without a full reveal. I know the cake was supposedly a lie and all that, but still, I predict that April 2nd is finally the day that we get Silksong news. Those were the major third-party titles I wanted to highlight as possibilities for the Switch 2, but we'll be getting many more. Like for example, Split Fiction, that's totally coming around the console's launch. The next Call of Duty game, EA's plethora of sports slop, and many other popular large titles that I'm sure will be making their way as the year goes on. So to end off the predictions, here are a couple other Nintendo franchises that I am sure we could be seeing in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Zelda, but now at playable frame rates. With a Breath of the Wild remaster, it's been leaked for a while. It's most likely happening. The question will be, are they going to charge us Switch Breath of the Wild users a $10 upgrade fee? Will it be given to us for free as a game update? Or will we be required to pay $70? I'm going to go with a true neutral route for this one. We're paying a fee, possibly like $20 or even $30 because Nintendo's silly like that. But I think even they recognize they'd struggle to get away with selling us an upscaled game for $70. Kirby is back! A new 3D Kirby in the style of Forgotten Land. I see that as a likely possibility. However, I believe this title would be a cross-generational release. Also available to play on original Switch hardware. Speaking of cross-gen titles, Metroid Prime 4. This time, they're priming harder. I'm divided on whether I believe this is a launch day game or not. They've been developing this for a decade at this point. It's coming out on Switch 1 and already announced. Arguments for a release day cross-gen title would be, it plays at a higher frame rate and has substantially improved visuals on Switch 2, serving as a tool to showcase the power of the new console and a way to corner that part of the market that believes Switch 2 just isn't powerful enough. However, it could also end up overshadowed by larger titles, such as Mario Kart and the previously discussed Pack-In Energy game, which would be designed to replicate the potential success of something like Wii Sports, meaning releasing Metroid alongside the Switch 2 might not do the game many favors. We might need to wait a month or two after launch. GameCube comes to Nintendo Switch Online. I think Switch 2 is releasing with a brand new update to NSO. We're going to be receiving GameCube support. It will be exclusive to Switch 2 and exclusive to the expansion pass tier of NSO. Not something I'm too happy about, but I think that's what's going to happen. Ghosts? Mansions? Luigi? I can see us receiving a trailer for a brand new Luigi's Mansion game, later expanded upon on a September Nintendo Direct. In fact, I can see that Kirby game from earlier sharing a similar fate as this. Why Luigi's Mansion? Well, it is an extremely popular franchise and 2025 is Mario's 40th anniversary. So even if a Mario franchise game isn't planned for release this year necessarily, I don't doubt that Nintendo would want to advertise it as part of their anniversary celebration. And that was it for the Nintendo Switch 2 Predictions Direct. Actually, we have one more announcement to share. Joined by a fella everyone knows and loves. Come on in, come on in.
Smash Brothers.
Sakurai's back and he's developing his brand new video game, and it's probably Smash Brothers again. Look, with Smash Ultimate, Smash fans got everything they could possibly ever want. It feels almost unimaginable for Sakurai to develop another Smash Bros that isn't a complete reboot of the series. Smaller cast of core Nintendo characters, remade movesets for every single one, new look, new engine, all that. And to be clear, I love Smash, but I don't actually want to see Sakurai developing the next game. In fact, I think that from the Switch 1 era of games, Smash Ultimate is the only one that I'm more than happy with receiving a deluxe edition on Switch 2, followed by another set of DLC characters. I don't think we need a fully new game yet, and I don't think Sakurai should be tied to that franchise as his only creative work with Nintendo. We know he's developing a game, we know it's most likely with Nintendo. The sane part of me wants to predict Smash Bros, but the other part of me wants to say, Sakurai is working on a brand new IP or another Kid Icarus game. There we go, for real this time. Those are my predictions for the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Anything I missed? Do let me know in the comments below, as well as telling me what do you think is gonna happen on April 2nd. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and leave a comment if you've liked the content. I'll be covering Switch 2 from the moment that Direct airs till its release and further beyond. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye! And I'm gonna go watch the Switch 2 Direct. I'm so excited. I'm gonna go right now. I'm going right now.